Yeah, hi, this is Anand Mehra with SONiC Cheetahs. I have Venkat Kejipati and Rajendra Kumar in the team. And I'm here to present my idea on SONiC chassis image upgrade, which is an orchestrated way of installing the SONiC image on a chassis system. Yeah, so why we needed this idea was like, today we don't have a centralized way of installing a new image on the SONiC system. So one have to either copy the image to each module and then run the SONiC installer command on individual module. There is no centralized way of checking the image or install status on the chassis system. So if you have 8 or 10 line cards and a RP system, and then you're installing the images over the network, you will have to download the image on all the cards over the network. That will like you consume more network bandwidth, and then you have more steps to do individually installing the each image. So how I did it, I added more chassis install commands to support on the supervisor, where you can run the CLIs to run the install the image on the complete chassis at once, or you can install the images on the selected modules from the supervisor itself. The image download needs only on the supervisor from the external network, and then supervisor can distribute the image to all the modules. The CLI support on supervisor for image version and install status for all the modules. So everything, all those status and image versions, you can view from the supervisor itself without going to the individual modules. Yeah, so on a high level, I'm basically using the Redis chassis server for most of the work to communicate between the modules. We have a chassis card manager which can provide the commands to different modules. You can sync up with the different modules about the status and about all other information. There card manager client or running on each modules, which will listen to these commands, which actually subscribe to the Redis chassis server and gets the commands, and based on the commands, they act on it. So right now I have implemented it for the installer, but these chassis client manager or chassis manager module can be used for more than the install. You can use it for different functionalities to gather information from the line card modules or other modules, or to trigger some other commands through the Redis chassis server itself. So I enhanced the SONiC installer CLIs to add more support for the chassis installation. So basic components are, we needed a HTTP server running on the supervisor, which can host the image for all the line cards. So I already have some HTTP server PRs open to run on the. Then we have the card manager to handle the module status and request and response. There is card manager client on each module. And then we are using the chassis module install table on the Redis TV to collect all the status information and everything. And let me give a quick demo so we can see. So if you look at here, this is my supervisor module. I have a HTTP server running on this super module. This HTTP server points to the ETH1 mid plane and can host the images or any other files you can store on this one. So I have a chassis manager client, which is running on supervisor and all the modules. This is the one which is listen to the commands coming from the Redis server, and then it acts on it. For the CLI, I can please show you. So this is a new addition to the chassis module, where each module, so all this data is coming from the Redis chassis server, and each module register to the chassis module server and updates their information, the current image version, the next image version. the current module status. Right now, I already have database ready, which is actually least required for the Sonic installer to run. And when you do an install, it will show you the install status as well. So let me quickly run a Sonic installer. Oh, sorry, overrode it. So actually it's a Sonic installer command. We can do Sonic chassis install and you provide the URL. I'll show you the complete command in a bit. And then it downloads the image from the external network, and then it can send the command to all the installed modules. So if you do a show command here, it will show you the current status where the install has started on all the modules. So yeah, so if you look at any line card module, this is one of the line card module which received the command, and it's running the download of the image and then installing the image on the line card. So once it's done, it will show you the install success or install failure. And in case of failure or install, you can look at all the logs on the modules itself. Other than that, we have also implemented cleanup commands as well to clean up the current image, next image, or any other image. The cleanup can also clean up any next image version if you don't want to go with that image version. Here you go. So here the installation completed, and you see the install status, and it gives you the install status success for all. So there are various checks as well in the system to check the current status. You need at least the database ready available for the particular module. If any of the status is not ready, the install will not go ahead. And once it is done, you can reboot the system to come up with the new image. Yeah, that is all.